Hey, what's good YouTube? Target here and welcome to another episode of Design and Manage, my City Skylines and Modded Let's Play series. In the last episode we have started building on this new island, and today I think we are going to continue the progress that we have started on the last episode. So let me just explain to you what I have in mind for today. Okay, so as I've mentioned, on the last episode we have started working on the island. We have built the initial layout and have also built the highway on and off ramps. And have also started zoning some stuff in this layout. We have still a bit of empty roads where we can zone in, but I think before I do anything else, we can actually go ahead and start making the rest of the layout. I think that will be much more productive this way. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to find out a way to fill this bottom area of the island. I also might do another ferry pier so that people can also access this island by boat or ferry, so to say. So yeah, let's just jump into it. Okay, much better. So let me just explain to you a little bit about what I've done here. Okay, so first things first, as you might have noticed, I filled the entire thing with the layout. I've now have the entire thing filled up with roads, so we can now focus the rest of this episode into zoning some houses and commercial in this island. We can focus a lot on developing this area. I have also managed to put a ferry stop, so people can now access this island by boat, and we should actually fix this thing with water. I can do that in a minute. And I've converted all of the roads to roads with trees, just to fit up the schematic or the thematic that I've been using in this island. And yes, I've also built this little pathway to kind of go along and fill this little blank area, because it was just too big and I cannot zone everything in here. But yeah, that's pretty much it, what I've done. I think, just as I've said, I'm going to focus the rest of this episode into developing the island. So let's start zoning some stuff. But before that, some people actually mentioned that I've made a mistake on a past episode. I have made a mistake while doing a roundabout. Some of you said that one of the orientations of the roundabout were wrong, so let me just try and find what that thing is. Oh yes, it's this one, I found it. Not that it makes much of a difference, because not a lot of people are going to use this road. There's actually no point in using it, pretty much, but for the sake of fixing your OCD, I just fixed that. But anyway, yeah, I think we can start building on this island. So the first thing that I want to do is cover this entire thing with pipes of water, so that we don't have to worry about that in the future. So let's just do that. Okay, perfect. Everything is now piped with water, so we don't have to worry about that. Another thing that we can do is actually set up the bus lines. And we covered the northern part of the island. Now we can start covering the southern part, even though we don't have any buildings in here, but we'll have in a minute. So one of the first things that I want to do, first and foremost, is edit this existing line so that this stop is moved to the ferry stop. So people have an easier way traveling to these little houses when they get off the ferry. So we got that out of the way. Now another thing that we can do right now is start making a line that covers this entire area. And just as I've done here, I want to make the lines go and have a stop at the ferry stop and also at the monorail station. So let's just draw a line. Alright, it's done. I believe now the island has a pretty good access when it comes to public transport. So let's just start zoning some stuff in here. Okay, so we have a lot of demand for commercial. So I believe we can start by zoning some stores. And I'm gonna zone them right next to the ferry stops, because this is an access point with an high influx of people. So yeah, it makes sense to zone some stuff or some commercial in this type of location. So I'm gonna zone it in this little coastline avenue. Well, not avenue, but this little road, coastal road. And we can put some shops in here. I believe all of these can be shops. Actually, you can even make this a dedicated commercial district. I also believe we can make this central area of the layout a place dedicated for shops, because this is where we have the majority of our bus lines. It's a road that is easy to access, so we can actually zone some commercial in here. Actually, let's just zone the center part. Yeah, kind of like that. And now the rest can be pretty much residential. So I want to zone residential in small amounts. I don't want to overflow this entire thing with houses and have a massive death wave in the future. So I'm just gonna zone this little area for start, right next to the pathway that we have created, and perhaps this entire area as well. Okay, now let's just watch all of this develop. Alright, look at that, it seems that we already have some people waiting for the bus, so this area is getting used quite a bit, which is always good to see. And there we go. Do they all fit in the bus? Oh, they're waiting for a different type of bus. Perhaps this one on the back? You know, there seems to be this bug where buses take a long time to get out of the platform. I don't know why. But yeah, you see all of those people get on the bus, but this one is like here for ages. I don't know why this type of thing happens. But anyway, moving on from that, this area is developing very well indeed. So I think we can start focusing on services so that we don't have to worry about that in the future. So let's start off with education. I want to see what's the status of elementary schools here. This one has quite a bit of capacity. This one has also some capacity, but I believe I'm going to need another elementary school right about over here. So in this location, perhaps we can put it right here next to the intersection. This high school, well, it's kind of overflowing, but I believe it's going to be enough to cover this entire island. I do not think I want to put a second one. I don't think that's necessary, but we'll see about that. Regarding healthcare, we have a small clinic here, and I believe that unfortunately we are going to need a second one. So I'm gonna try to put it right beneath the monorail and the road, but I cannot do that, so I think I'll just put it somewhere along here. Let's see if I can find a good place for it. Yes, let's just put it here. That's going to be enough to cover this entire area. And I believe we are going to need another cemetery slash crematorium. I think I'm gonna put a crematorium and I'm gonna place it right here. I can actually put two of them, but you know what? I think I want to put a sauna here instead. Can I do that? No, I cannot. So I'll just put a second crematorium. There's no big deal with that. And that should be more than enough for this location. Moving on to the fire coverage. I think, should I put a secondary firehouse? Oh, look at this. I actually have two of them already. I believe I wanted to put a police station, but I put a second firehouse instead. And none of you guys warned me about this. Really? Come on, guys. I was expecting more from you. No, I'm just joking. It was my fault. But yeah, anyway, let's just put the police station here, over this area. And should we put... no, I believe this is going to be enough for the entire island. But regarding fires, I think I want to put a secondary firehouse, and I'm gonna place it right here. Okay. Leisure continues to be something that gets me puzzled pretty much, because this area does not need any leisure at all. And moving on, the only thing that we're missing is actually disaster services. And let me just see how much people does this district have. Around 3,000, so I believe the entire island is going to house about 7,000 people, perhaps even more, perhaps 8,000. So I believe we can put a big disaster unit. This one has a capacity of 10,000 people, so I believe we can put this one. So let's just pick an appropriate location for it, and I believe this is going to be it, because we can take advantage of this unzonable space. So either there or here. Now I believe I want to put it here. And there we go. I would just need to pretty much make an evacuation route. And let's try to cover this entire thing. Okay, this is pretty nice coverage. And yeah, I think we are pretty much done with services. So we can just go bananas and zone this entire thing. So let's just zone a bit more residential. I want to fit this entire area. And why is this little square over there? I have no idea. But let's just put some shops in here first and foremost. So a small 2x4 shopping and a small 3x4 store as well. And now we can zone this entire thing with some residential. I think I want to zone this little area with some roundabouts. Oh yeah, by the way, this is something that I haven't mentioned. I've built these dead ends with a cul-de-sac right in the middle. Well, not a cul-de-sac, but it's pretty much roundabout, but it's simulating a cul-de-sac. Well, first and foremost, I built this to maximize the zoning space, because this area was pretty much empty. And I believe I want to put some very small houses, so perhaps some 2-block long houses. So let's just put this type of houses in here. Okay, make this area livable, and we can do the same on this little area. I feel sorry for these people. They are going to live right next to the on-ramp. Not everyone can afford a expensive house. I also want to come here and zone this entire thing. And let's wrap it up with some shops here. Oh, and by the way, some people have asked if I couldn't make the monorail go under the highway. And the answer is yes, but no. The minimum height a monorail can go is actually this one. So if I press page up, it goes up to this height. If I press page down, this is actually the minimum height it has to go. So I would have to elevate the highway quite a bit, much higher than it is right now, to make the monorail go underneath it. And I don't think that would look that better. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this design. I think I like it. Okay, so we only have 3,000 people living in this island, and this high school is pretty much overflowed. So I think I have to put a secondary high school, and I'm gonna put it right here because it's right next to the monorail station, and we have all the bus lines coming through here. So this is a very central location, ideal for a high school. So I am gonna place a high school right here. In order to balance out the RCI demand, I think I'm going to put a bit more commercial buildings so that we increase a little demand for residential. I think I'm going to put commercial in this entire block and also next to this area, right next to the highway. So all of these can be little shops, and I wonder if I can turn a bit of this into commercial as well. I believe we can delete these little houses and turn them into commercial. Let's make a little commercial block there. Oh, and by the way, look at this. This area has finally caught fire. Goodness gracious. So yeah, I believe we inaugurated this little park. This means that it's now an official leisure location of the city. By the way, I was talking about disasters earlier, but I've completely neglected the other aspects of disasters other than the shelters. One of those things were actually the radio coverage. So we have a lot of areas in this city that are not covered with radio frequencies. So one of the things that we can do is place one of these towers right here so that this entire area gets covered. Let's put it right here. Okay, I like it. And this area should now be covered. There you go, pretty cool. And we should now cover this area as well. I wonder if we can put a small tower in here. Perhaps in this location that is pretty much unzonable. Let's just put it here. And there we go. I believe we got this area covered. Regarding the earthquake sensors, these things are so cheap that we can pretty much place them anywhere we want. So I think I'm gonna place an additional one next to this area that is pretty much uncovered. And I think I'm gonna place it right along this road. Okay. Let's just proceed with the zoning. I believe we are going to need more commercial, so let's just zone this area, and we can now wrap this area with some residential. So let's just do that and see if we can zone this entire area in this episode. Alright guys, look at this. The entire area is now zoned. I have zoned all the roads that I want to have buildings on, and now we are going to have to wait a bit until everything is developed because we have a very low demand for residential, and I believe the only way to fix this is by zoning some more industrial and commercial. Well, not industry, but I believe when we zone some commercial buildings in this little triangle, that is going to be the winter themed park, we are going to balance the RCI demand, and these buildings, these small houses, will then start growing. So I believe that's pretty much it for this island. The only thing that we need to do now is decorate this entire thing with trees and maybe some boulders, and then this entire area is going to be finished pretty much. I was actually thinking that I was going to decorate this thing with trees and finalize the island on a future episode, but given the fact that we have a bit of time, I believe that's something that we can do right now on this episode. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna meet you guys in a minute. Ah, yes. What a wonderful sight. Well guys, I wanted to give you a good overall view of the finished island, but unfortunately we had a huge massive fire that is pretty much ruining the landscape. But yeah, this island is pretty much complete. All of the buildings have been completely developed. As you can see, everything is grown in this island. I think it looks very good with all of these trees together. I've tried to wrap the monorail with trees just to prevent noise pollution. Also, these little commercial areas right next to the highway have huge amounts of trees to prevent noise pollution. This is a feature that was introduced in, I believe, Parklife, where trees actually reduce noise pollution, so I'm using them as much as I can. Another example of that is when I deleted the commercial buildings that were here and replaced them with these blocks of trees right beneath or between the highway and also the residential houses, which I believe will turn out much better than just having commercial right next to the highway. And yeah, let's just start having an overview of this little island. This is something that we have built throughout the two past couple of episodes. Traffic seems to be flowing very well in this junction. As I've said, this was pretty much overkill when it comes to traffic because this area is not that populated. And look at that, it seems that we have another forest fire and flowing. And I don't know, I think I'm going to give the smoke detectors policy to this island because we are going to have a bit of trouble. Okay, I've activated it. Hopefully the budget will not go to the sink. But yeah, we were analyzing this thing. Traffic is pretty much controlled. Let's just check out the building levels. It seems that we already have some buildings at level 5. This one needs some more education. That's no issue whatsoever because we have a lot of high schools in this area, which are both full, by the way. But they should get the job done in a matter of a few days. Land value is also very high, especially in these areas right next to the riverside, which is just amazing. This is actually the places where we've put some residential houses. Who would not want to live in here? With the seaside view. Pretty cool. And also a view to the overall city, look at that. And never mind the dead people, that's just part of the landscape. But anyway guys, that's going to be it for today. Before I end this episode, I would just like to talk about the plans for the future of this series. As you might have guessed, we are pretty much at the finish line. We have very little things to develop in the city, and I would just like to point out the most relevant things that we still have to build. So first and foremost, one of the things that we need to do is fill up this triangular shape. I have already decided that I'm going to turn it into a winter-themed park. So that's going to be the future of this little area. We have also the need to develop this park, the Unseen National Palace, because we only have a couple of decorations and I want to decorate this entire thing all around the pathway. So that's another thing that we still have yet to build. Also another thing that we should do is finish up the zoning of this little island. This is the island where I have started building my city. We have pretty much started with this little layout, or was it this one? I don't even remember, I think it was this one. Yeah, I think this was industrial in the beginning and this was my first residential block. Then I've modified it and deleted the industry and turned it into commercial. Yeah, I think that was it. And I think I'm gonna finish up the island by zoning some residential in this location as well. And yeah guys, that's pretty much it that we have to do, so there's not a lot of work. Oh, and by the way, there's also something else that I have decided that I want to place here. It's this thing, the shipyard, which is the only unique factory that we have yet to place, so I cannot forget about that. I need to place it here, just like I promised. So that's something that we have to keep in mind. But yeah guys, that's pretty much what we have left to do in this city. And after that, we are going to be done. Hooray! Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna disable the smoke detector policy because this is causing a huge downfall on my budget and I do not want that. Let this entire thing burn. I don't care. Well, I care, but there's not really much I can do about it. But anyway guys, that's going to be it for today. In this episode we have managed to completely finish the organic and local produce island, which is something that I'm really proud of. In the next episode we are probably going to start working on the winter themed park, so stay tuned for that. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already to get notified every time I post a new City Skylines video. Thank you so much for watching guys, and as always, have fun!